Hi there, students. Entity. What is an entity? I think this word is really quite difficult to define. An entity is something that exists as a discrete, as an independent unit. An entity, something that is, something that exists, but independent of its properties. Now, an entity. An entity can be something that's real. Yeah, an entity is anything that could be a subject or an object of a sentence. An entity is something that exists in itself, but it doesn't have to be tangible. It doesn't have to be something that you can see. It doesn't have to be physical. So an entity can be actual, a pen, or it can be potential. It can be abstract. So maybe love is an entity. It can be physical, the pen again, but it doesn't have to be. My country. Well, my country is it just the land, or is it more than that? So it doesn't need to have a material existence. In law, an entity is something that has legal rights and obligations. Yeah, so a person or an artificial person, a business or a country. In politics, an entity is a country. In medicine, a disease could be considered an entity. Yeah, the disease that has entered a person. Or even in computer science is something that moves around in the computer or exists in your computer and it continues to exist despite the attributes that it has. Normally entities in this are stored in databases. But this entity, this is very difficult to pin down completely. Okay, so an entity exists, something that exists. It comes from ens, being, from entitas. So something that has a distinct existence, that is an individual unit. Yeah, something that exists independent of the properties that it has. Entity, the state of being, the state of existence. A ghost could be an entity. A goblin, a spirit could be an entity. An alien life form could be an entity. Okay, something that exists. The opposite, a non-entity. But a non-entity is somebody who's insignificant, who nobody notices. So that's not really the opposite of an entity. Okay, so entity, that something that exists. You could a business. You start buying and selling something, and you make a business. That's an entity. It's something that exists. It's something that has its own distinct existence, even if it's alive or if it's not alive. The fact that it's alive doesn't really matter. The different departments in the university are different entities of a bigger entity. Yeah. So East and West Germany used to be considered individual entities, but now Germany is one entity. A legal entity, yeah, like a corporation, which has responsibilities. So an entity, it's independent, it's separate, it's self-contained, but it doesn't have to be real, it doesn't have to be tangible. Yeah, the existence of a thing as opposed to its the attributes that it might have. Something that exists objectively or conceptually. So a concept can be an entity. something that is existing, a being, something that exists inside or outside the mind, anything that is real in itself, but it doesn't have to be tangible. Yeah, it doesn't have to be something that you can touch. It's something that's self-contained. So the entity of justice is something that could be considered universal. So I'd be interested to hear your definitions of entity. It's a difficult word to nail down. So, formality and entity. I'm going to give it probably 5.5 in formality, although I think you could use it anywhere. And as to origin, as I said earlier, it comes from entitas, from ens, being. So it's effectively something that is, entitas, an entity. So enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Entity.